Good evening and welcome to Hawker Football Centre once again for Women's National Premier League football. It is a big match between first place Belconnen United and fourth place Canberra United Academy. I'm Russ Gibbs, your commentator for the match this evening. Joining me, as is semi-always now, Matt Moore. Matt, welcome back again. Hope you're enjoying yourself.
Thanks, Russ. Nice to be back. Yeah, enjoying myself. Nice to be back here again and calling some football. And once again, we've got a really tight tussle potentially on board today with a little bit on the line for both sides.
And Daniel's on the camera again, slightly less cold than we were on Wednesday night at this same venue, although it's got the potential to drop, I guess, in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, I don't imagine we'll be quite as comfortable as we are now in 90 minutes' time.
Well, let's hope that both these sides can warm us up with some quality football on the field. So we did see some good matches before this. The reserve grade game ending in a 2-2 draw, and from what we saw, I saw most of the second half, pretty good contest.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked very back and forward and very open, which is something that we'll hope we'll get in the first grade competition. And a late drive from the academy to get that late equaliser. So.
Heather Garriock in charge of the academy team. I guess they'll be hoping that they can put a slightly more effective performance than they did in the Fed Cup quarter-final here, when it really was the Caitlin Munoz show. 5 goals from the Matildas midfielder and 1 from Karen Clark, giving Belconnen a 6-0 win on that evening. We're not expecting it to be quite so many this evening, though, are we?
No, absolutely not. And Heather Garriock made comment in the media just last week talking about that and how the players probably played with a little bit of fear. And you're right, it certainly was the Caitlin Munoz show and a throwback and just a little reminder of the quality that she brings. So hopefully they've put those fears to rest and create a far more competitive match, which, as you said, we're expecting today.
It's been a tricky couple of weeks for the academy. A 2-2 draw with Canberra FC before the bye, and then they were unfortunate to go down 2-1 to Gungahlin United, 2 of the top 3 teams they played there. Got to remember, though, Matt, this isn't the same Canberra United as last year. It's a very, very young team, new group coming through, and highlighted perhaps by 15-year-old Charlie Mitchell, who's getting a start today. And this is what this team's all about. Yeah,
absolutely. Huge turnover of players in the academy this year. As you'd expect, it's roughly a 2-year cycle at the top by the time you graduate and you move on, and it is a significant change and a great opportunity for Charlie Mitchell here to really represent. I know Heather thinks very highly of her, and talking to some of the other coaches in the academy staff, they use that phrase, she knows how to find the back of the net, and I certainly hope I'm sure the academy will be hoping that that she continues in that vein today.
Well, the main goal scorers for the Mile, Sasha Grove and Hayley Telly Young, 22 between them so far this season. It's not a bad return, is it? Telly Young with 13 and Grove with 9.
No, absolutely not. And I think we've mentioned it the last time we did a CUA game. You would wonder where you would question potentially where the goals were going to come from with the loss of people like Aoife Colville and Carly Rossbacken and Lara Hughes, and who was coming in to fill the void, and those two to pop up with 22 between them just means that the football factory is running and there's still plenty more to give.
Speaking of goals, there is lots in the Blue Devils team on the far side. In fact, they can field an 11, of which the outfield 10 players have all found the back of the net this year.
Yeah, I don't know when I've ever heard of that before, to be honest, Russ, from a football team, and absolute quality by them, and it probably shows the kind of version of football that Anthony's team like to play, getting forward and releasing players, but not being afraid to take that game on, and whether it be in general play and lethal from set pieces, especially corners with some of the height that they've got available to them, will be interesting to see how the academy try and counteract that, because, as you've just mentioned, everyone's a goal threat.
Let's have a look at the academy team. They look like they're playing a 4-2-1-3 today. Ali Hinson in between the sticks. The back four of Annie Grove, Demi Nikias, Jade Truant and Steffi Legins. Midfield holders Mia McGovern and Molly Lawless. Isabella Barach just in front of them. The front three, Charlie Mitchell, Hayley Telly Young and Sasha Grove.
Yeah, a strong lineup there, and a couple of tweaks in that lineup. So you see Demi Nikias coming in for a start there at centre back, with Annie Grove shifting to the right back. Somewhere that she's familiar with, but somewhere where she'll certainly look to make an impact, potentially an attempt to counter the pace out wide that Belconnen have, and really interested to see how that midfield 3 from Canberra United contain, as we mentioned before, the likes of Caitlin Munoz heading into this game.
Belconnen's team line up with a 4-1-2-3. In goal, Sally James. Back four of Lauren Keir, Jessie Rashard, Jazz Zabel and Bronte Pike. Caitlin Munoz, the holding midfielder. Nicole Jaloka and Alexia Fauna in midfield. Maddie Whittle, a late inclusion for Kelly Woodman. Leah Carnegie and Kira Bobbin up front. Not bad inclusion, is it? Having your 14-goal top scorer popping into the team from the bench?
Yeah, look, brings back memories of somebody like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for Man United in the great days, popping up with goals everywhere. And when you've got that kind of quality to call upon, you're in a really good spot. And again, how United counteract the Munoz factor will be very interesting today. And I'm also, from a personal point of view, really intrigued to see how young Bobbin goes. We saw her in the Fed Cup semi-final against CFC, and she was a late call-up and very effective in that game. And the first league game for Sally James in goal against her old academy teammates as well.
Kira Bobbin scored her first goal, I think it was, in that game for the first grade. Second goal, I should say, in the first grade in that game. Since then, she's been banging in the goals. She's now got 8 in all competitions. Referee today is Shane Nielsen. Tom Wodzinski on the line with Alexandra McKay. We're looking forward to this one. Belconnen in the blue shirts, as you can see on your screen, just as they always are. Canberra United Academy in their green. A couple of players missing from Belconnen today. Kath Brown played in reserve. She had a quad strain during the week. Karen Clark is over at the World Cup for a few weeks, not playing. Although she might be a late call-up, I don't know. I'm assuming she's not playing. And Sam Price, who dislocated her knee and is out for the season, which is really disappointing for her.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's somebody who had a great year up until that point as well, and was probably almost one of the first people picked for Belconnen. You know, a young midfielder who really brought that element of box-to-box play to counteract, you know, or assist the holding midfield role that Munoz played. And, you know, they haven't missed a beat without her, but, you know, a big loss going forward for the rest of the year.
One result already this week. Canberra Olympic beat Monero Panthers by 3-2 on Thursday. A couple of penalties from Laura Berry and Rose Wills with the third. Alicia Morin and Kelly Sturton replying for Monero Panthers. First win of the season that for Olympic. To put this into context, if the Academy win today, they'll close the gap on the top to only 3 points. Should Belconnen win, of course, they will extend their lead at the top. And that will open the door for Woden Western to move into 4th. They're playing the Panthers as we speak as well. 5 o'clock kickoff, so all to play for. We'll try and keep you up to date with those scores elsewhere. Some men's Premier League results coming in, the latest with a few minutes to go in these games. Belconnen United 4, Monero Panthers 0, Woden Western 2, Tuggeranong United 0, and Canberra Olympic 8, Riverina Rhinos 1. 4 goals for Stephen Dominici amongst those 8. We're hoping we get a few goals here this afternoon. Joloka sends that forward, first touch from Munoz. Whittle putting the chase on back there, but Legins is back to tidy up. And good to see what sort of test, if any, the Canberra United Academy can put on this Belconnen team, which remarkably, 7 league games into the season, are yet to concede a goal in the league. Yeah,
well, that's challenge number 1, is it? How can you break down this quality defensive block that Belconnen seem to be set week in and week out, while maintaining your own at the other end? And I would envisage we'll see a lot of high pressing from both teams early on as they try and gain control in both sides' halves.
Rashart plays it forwards. Touch for Bobbin. Good pressure on the back of her there, though. Annie Grove playing in a wider position today.
Yeah, wondering if that's a more strategic move there from Heather Garriock to take Sasha Grove out wide and away from the bigger bodies such as Rashard in the middle there, and Hayley Young. We know her physical presence that she can bring and her ability to hold up the ball, and potentially a quicker route to goal with the pace of Taylor Young getting in behind maybe those 2 central defenders. Well,
here's Barach with the first free kick. Chance for her maybe to swing this into a dangerous position. Not a huge amount of height to hit. Decent one towards the far post though, and it bounced across the dangerous into the 6-yard box. Mia McGovern was coming in on the far post, probably the tallest player in the academy side.
Yeah, absolutely, and probably one of the taller players in the competition. I think she's taller than me. But yeah, she'll certainly be a key threat, and be interesting to see as that develops, whether they start to push people like Jay Truan and Demi Nikias and Molly Lawless into more attacking areas from those set pieces too, because they'll certainly be able to pose a threat.
With Sally James in goal, hasn't had an awful lot to do this season, but when she's been called upon, she's done it well. As I say, that she almost turns over possession. Here's Whittle. Turning well, looking for Bobbin. 3 shirts immediately around her. One of them was Annie Grove with the toe in. Comes for Truan. A chance perhaps for the Academy to play it down the middle. The runner was Molly Lawless from deep, which we expect to see a fair bit of, her joining in the attack from that kind of distance.
Yeah, absolutely. Great box-to-box player, Molly. He's got those sort of engines that can run all day.
Lauren Keir finally broke her scoring drought with a couple of goals this season. Legends ball inside, bit of space for Barach to pull it forward towards Mitchell. His first touch took her away from Pike. And the second touch tried to poke it through for Annie Grove, who's caught out of position here, and a chance for Whittle to put Munoz into space. Good track back by Lawless though against Munoz. Decent battle. Munoz using all her experience to hold off the young midfielder. Looking to win the set piece, gets the throw in the end. Good tracking back from Lawless.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good one-on-one defence there. It would have been really easy to dive in and allow Munoz to skip past, but she's been very effective.
Whittle into the penalty area, perhaps a shooting chance for her. Finds Fauna instead. Jalocca on the top of the box. Forced backwards by Legins, who does well. And this could be a tone for Sasha Grove, but she's turned it over as well. Zabel's ball forwards. Bobbing in the channel. Goes back to Zabel again, who settled in quite nicely into this Belconnen side after a transfer from the Panthers.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly made herself at home and in a different role. I think the last time we saw her play, she was playing more in a midfield role.
Bagged the one of the 12 against Wagga City Wanderers. Here's Keir on the overlap. Chance for Belconnen to swing this into the penalty area. It's a chance for Whittle on the far post, and it didn't take the league leaders long to open the scoring. It's Maddie Whittle who came into the side just before kick-off with her 15th of the season, and a very simple finish for a striker in form.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Maddie Whittle's supposed to be still sitting on the bench, but it's come on and had an instant impact. It was a good switch of play there that went out to Lauren Kerr, and as you could see, the runner that came in was driving forward and actually dragged Annie Grove, who was the right back, into the centre, which allowed Maddie Whittle to have the tap in at the back. All the defenders were occupied and nobody saw the late run in, and Maddie's probably not going to get many easier goals than that, you would think, for the rest of the year.
And what was impressive about that, Maddie, was that when she started the game, she started on the right flank and Bobbin was on the left. And the movement there, when Bobbin went into that space, into that channel, first thought for Whittle was to come into the space that she just vacated, and she got a reward.
Yeah, absolutely. Coaches talk all the time about filling the space, and that your position is, from a formation, is just your starting point. And it's how you move and impact the game there, and that would make the Belconnen coaching staff really, really happy.
Perfect start for Anthony Jagarinik and his team. Here's Munoz. Carnegie. Back to Zabel. Took 10 minutes for them to open the scoring in the Federation Cup. It's only taken 6 today. Rashart. Munoz. It's easy for Legins, who tries to find Grove. Here's a test at the back, which Truan and Nikias combine. And Hinson really left with no chance with a goal, to be fair. Go in by Pike. This is what Heather Garrett wants for these young players, though, isn't it? To be playing the preeminent team in women's football in Canberra and to test themselves. Yeah,
absolutely, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you want your best young players playing against your best footballers as you try and develop them into what you hope will be future W League players and future internationals, and get a feel for what it's like, you know, once you graduate, and how hard the outside world of football may be. And to their credit, they've held their own very, very well throughout this season and the seasons before, but this is where you get to find a lot out about your players. In 1-0 down, still plenty of time to go.
Pike bringing it forward. That's a good challenge from McGovern. Falls for Carnegie. Back to Pike again. McGovern snapping at her heels. Concedes a free kick. Chance of Belconnen to send this forward. Yeah,
and you can see shades again of how that first goal occurred. You can see the front three getting really, really narrow, and Jalocca and Lauren Kerr over the far side trying to overload.
Well, turnover there by Lawless. I think she thought that the runner, Grove, was a lot further forward than she was. Nice turn by Zabel. Munoz used her body to roll McGovern. She's not going to have it all her own way in the midfield today, is she, Caitlin Munoz?
No, absolutely not. She'll be in a physical contest, especially with Mia McGovern there. Munoz will need all her smarts and all her history to pull apart that puzzle.
Here's Pike. As you mentioned, great test for Mia McGovern to play against someone she's probably watched a lot of over the years growing up. Finds herself directly toe-to-toe with Caitlin Munoz, one of the best players to come out of Canberra.
Yeah, it's the sort of things you dream of as a young kid, is wanting to be a Caitlin Munoz, but getting to play against a Caitlin Munoz. And the amount that you can learn from that is amazing, especially as you go back and watch the game on Bar TV and review and do some analysis of your own.
Live football, of course, live and free on Bar TV, as we like to say. Here's Balach looking to take on the Belconnen defence. Legin was the overlapping runner. Good cover of defence, though, from the Belconnen, and a chance for the Blue Devils to bring it clear. with Lauren Keir. We'll be live and exclusive tomorrow from Nijong Oval in Cooma for the Tigers versus Gungahlin United. I complained a lot about the cold, but I'm sure it's going to be freezing down there.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Russ. I'm glad I'm here with you tonight as opposed to tomorrow.
Feel free to tune in and listen to me freeze. Great reception we always get down at Cooma, though. They always look after us well. Hopefully they got a bit of Argentinian barbecue on the go.
Hey.
Can't argue with that.
It's always a good treat. There's a reward once you get there, isn't there?
Absolutely. Here's Rashad. Munoz got away from McGovern onto that trusty left foot, looking to swing it into the area. It's going to fall for Bobbin. Jaloka. Now Carnegie, she tried to sweep one goalwards from range, but that's fairly easy for Hinson.
Yeah, a little bit of a warning shot there for United, just sitting off on that midfield area. We've spoken about the change of point and how Matty Whittle was able to get around the back for the first goal, but if they allow that, sit off that midfield and don't get enough pressure on and force them to control the ball, they'll run the risk of being opened up through the middle of the park as opposed to out wide.
We've spoken about this before when you played Belconnen United. We did in the semi-final. You were with me, Matt. The way you can see the Canberra United at the moment, they're trying to stretch the field and use the full width. But when you do, you leave those gaps in the middle of the park, which these Belconnen United side are more than well equipped to exploit.
Yeah, absolutely. Stretching the field's one thing, but being able to do it effectively and maintain possession so you don't get burnt is the next step of that equation. And if you can stretch the field and
chance for Mitchell. Yeah, can finish your point there, Matt.
Yeah, if you can stretch the field and do that with a controlled possession aspect, and potentially have someone drop in and fill those gaps in the middle yourself, it actually allows you to control the pace of that game and put Belconnen in an unusual situation where they're chasing the ball as opposed to having it.
Bobbin under pressure from Annie Grove. Defender does well there to force the throw. Wants to go early. Lawless. Looked for McGovern, but she was beaten to it by Alexia Fauna. And then slides it forward to the goal scorer, Whittle. She's got Jaloka ahead of her, finds Carnegie instead. Jaloka wins it back. And here's Bobbin on the overlap. Taking on Grove, who stands tall. Good footing from Annie Grove. Again, playing a fullback rather than in a usual position down the middle.
Yeah, and you can already see the energy that she's bringing to that wider role. She's tried to push on, and her ability to track back there on Bobbin helps to counteract that pace a little bit, I think, in there. So something that might prove a successful move.
Sasha Grove. Nicole Jaloka just took her eye off the ball at the wrong time just for the moment. McGovern sends Legend on the run. And she's got the pace to get there. Lauren Keir back to tackle. Steffi Legend does well. Opportunity for Grove to lift this one into the area. Keir was there. It's going to fall for Legend again, but it's a free kick. Sasha Grove just a little bit too enthusiastically trying to get the ball back.
Yeah, look, you talk about going forward and wanting to put pressure on the opposition's goal, but it's picking that moment, and at that particular point in time, maybe it's a matter of rotating that ball and forcing a new pocket to open up.
Pike comes in field. Whittle's got some space. Looks for Carnegie outside her.
And that ball there, that's similar to what we've seen for the first goal, and we spoke about Jaloka and Kerr getting out the back there, and that passage of play there will please the Belconnen coaching staff mostly, except at the end of the day, Jaloka sitting in free space and Kerr sitting deep, and nobody's actually provided that overlapping run, which is something that they've already proved successfully.
There's a chance in the middle here for Bobbin, and she strikes it goalwards, and that's a decent stop from Hinson. It came at her very quickly, the goalkeeper, and she palmed it over the crossbar. Good connection from Bobbin, decent save. Yeah,
absolutely. First time shot from Bobbin, which is always tricky for the keeper, and a bit of spin there, and she's reacted really well and pushed that over the bar. Great effort from a young goalkeeper at 15, playing against the top of the table team, and on her toes and ready to go as the academy now have to defend their first set piece.
Anything else but at her may have been a goal, but can't fault the goalkeeper for the reaction save.
No, absolutely not.
Needs to be on her toes from this corner though. The Carnegie swings it into the penalty area. Rashard was challenging. She's going to get it on the edge of the box. Fauna. Happy to take her time. Brings Abel back into play. Fauna once more. Great footballer. Looked for the option there, but didn't quite come through. Give her the kiss of death there for a moment, but good footballer, Alexia Fauna.
Yeah, absolutely.
She can pick her passes.
Yeah, can pick her passes, can beat you one-on-one, and can absolutely pile drive a shot at the same time. So she's a bit of an all-round threat going forward.
Here she is again, just in that pocket of space, in front of the defence, happy to pick the ball up and go back to Rushart. Missing her usual partner in crime, as we said, Clark, today, but is able more than a quality replacement. That's what Belconnen tend to have. I'm looking at their bench today. Michaela Day, Isla Robertson, Maria Pachi, and Jaylen Murphy, and Steph Heddich, who's a late call-up for Katie Woodman, who was going to start, but then pulled up lame in the warm-up, and then she was going to be on the bench, and I don't think she felt she was okay for that either, as Munoz tries one from a long range out, but straight down the throat of Hinson.
Yeah, good recovery from Hinson there. The ball's come out, and she set herself well to take that rather cleanly, and those last two saves will build a little bit of confidence for her, having conceded early on. But yeah, that bench that you mentioned from Belconnen, Russ, I mean, you know, Michaela Day coming back from injury, and she's someone who you would expect to be a regular starter and has the ability to absolutely control the game to no end. So getting her back now for the second half of the season will be welcome relief.
It's Bobbin out wide, asking a bit of Jalocka there, but she's going to pick it up, the midfielder. Back to Bobbin again. Can she get the cross into the penalty area? Takes a deflection and for the corner. Looking at the academy bench, only three named on their bench: Isabel Mulhall, Meg Roden, and Jenny Hill.
Yeah, Mulhall, they're a regular starter, and you know, potentially a tactical shift there from Heather Garriock, looking to bring a bit of experience and pace and attacking flair towards the back end of the game, and she's somebody who will contribute, no doubt. And a young 15-year-old in Meg Roden and a 14-year-old in Jenny Hill have both played first grade previously and proven that it's not beyond them.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see them a little bit later today. I'm sure they'll all get a chance to show us what they can do live on Bar TV. At the moment, the 11 on the field are defending, 1-0 down. Maddie Whittle's goal after 6 minutes. Since then, though, the last 10 minutes have been fairly even. Hinson's made a couple of decent saves. It's a deeper cross this time, and coming in was Rashart and couldn't get the connection. Otherwise, might have been trouble for the academy goalkeeper.
Yeah, great little corner there, really almost kind of slice it across the face, and maybe the angle in the end for Rashart a little bit too much and couldn't quite get there, but two different kind of corners, one a bit higher up and one through there, and that's a nice ball by Hinson.
Yeah, great spot,
out.
Wasn't it, to find Annie Grove in space. See what she tried to do there to find McGovern, but Whittle was alert to it. Here's Jalocka. Great feat to get away. Gets it back from Munoz. Barrett's just hassling at her. It's going to fall for Munoz again. Looks to squeeze one through, but Truan's there. And Grove decides to just get rid of it and allow her side a chance to reform.
Yeah, aggressive press there from Belconnen. They're not really giving the academy time to set and play, which will make your Granny very, very happy.
Here goes Bobbin, past a couple. Wins the corner again. And a chance for Belconnen to send Rashart forward once more. The main aerial threat on the field.
Yeah, her and Bronte Pike as well, who's got a bit of height and can certainly leap. And interesting to see what they do with this one now, whether they decide to drop it a little closer to that 6-yard box, because that'll spell danger, I think, with the two key runners.
Did score a key goal in the Cup semi-final, Jessie Rashart, with a header, and it's her direction. Got a piece of it. May have bounced off of a green shirt. It did. It's another corner on the far side.
And you can sorry, Ross.
So I was to say, she attacks the ball very well, doesn't she, Rashart?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great minds think alike. I was about to say, you can see the ability that Rashart has to get over the top of a defender and win a ball, and we've seen her do that not against just academy players, but the whole league for a number of years now, and she's a constant threat from any set piece.
I'm sure she'll be the target again for this latest corner. Leah Carnegie from the other side. Swings it in towards Rashart, who does win the header but can't quite direct it onto target. Prime example of exactly what you were just saying, Matt.
Yeah, and different movement again. So the last one, she's won just before the edge of the 18-yard box, and that one, edge of the 6-yard box, sorry, and that one she's looking to win around the penalty spot. So mixing the runs up, which makes it extraordinarily difficult for these defenders to track.
Here's Barrach. Lawless. Ball wide to Mitchell. Looks to try and get inside Bobbin, who's back helping out the defence at the moment. Good ball forward as well. Carnegie looks to take on Legins, but that's good positioning by the fullback to stop the run. Haven't seen Haley Taylor Young at all yet, have we? She's going to live off scraps today, it looks like.
Yeah, it'll be one of those days where she's going to have to make the most of what brief ball she does get, and maybe as the game goes on, and we spoke about Mulhall potentially coming off the bench, that's where Taylor Young gets released a little bit more and a little more involved towards that back end, because we know how dangerous she can be. Yeah,
well, we know that she gets half a chance. It's likely to end up in the back of the net, so Belconnen will need to be on their toes. They are dominating possession at the moment, as you would expect, but that one's a bit loose. Rashart's there, though. Closed down by Taylor Young and McGovern, but picks the right pass to Munoz.
Yeah, the right pass, a little bit reactionary there from the academy defence. They sort of started to come, and McGovern had left Munoz and pushed on, and the central midfield partner in Lawless hadn't quite come over to take that only option away. And they're the little differences that in a game that can get you back in or set you a little bit further back. So if you win it there, you've got the ability to release Taylor Young like we've been talking about early. And, you know, Rashard, who's no slouch, will have a hard time tracking Taylor Young back towards the goal.
Big matches in Women's Premier League tomorrow. Canberra FC versus Gungahlin United at Deakin Stadium. That one should be an absolute belter. Second versus third. And Canberra Olympic, fresh off their win on Thursday, play Wagga City Wanderers. So they'll be keen to get 2 wins in a week as well. Next week, small matter, Sunday 9th of June, Canberra FC versus Belconnen United. In the Women's Premier League, and the Academy travel to Woden Western.
Yeah, well, 2 vital games there that can certainly have a major impact on, 1, the premiership, and 2, how the top 4 shapes up, and who might be in and who might be out.
Whittle on the turn on the edge of the area, looking for some space to get the shot away, and she does, but in the end, combination of Barach and Nikias means there's no sting in it. Still going to fall for Kia, and she lines one up from range, and instead goes on a run in past the fullback. Thought she was going to hit one for a moment. Picks out Jaloka, just swinging in towards Whittle, and Nikias was there. Some big games coming up all the time on Bar TV Sports. Next week, as I mentioned, those 2 fixtures, and the week after, I think the Academy play Belconnen again at some stage. Very soon, I think.
Rapid turnaround.
Here's Legends with the challenge. They'll get the opportunity to go to McKellar, of course, later in the season and play on the surface there. And that'll be the dream for a lot of these players, to be taken to that field in a few years' time in the green shirts of Canberra United in the W League. Here's someone who's done that, Munoz. Taylor Young wins the header. Off she goes. First time we've seen her in action. Gets away from Rashard. Turns her inside out and gets a shot away as well. And that's a little glimpse of what Haley Taylor Young brings to the party.
Yeah, absolutely there. So she's, the first header she's won against Rashard, which is no easy feat, but she's been able to draw that in and start to carry, and maybe got a little bit confused and a little bit lost. I would have liked to have seen her drive more on the inside there towards Zabel and expose her 1v1, because she already had Rashard beaten. So instead of taking that early shot, back your ability to get in behind the players like you would in a wide area.
Won her own flick on, which is no mean feat.
No.
Munoz happy to go back to James. He's not had a lot to do in terms of goalkeeping, but I'm going to pick the ball back to find Munoz. Legin, alert to the danger again. It's going to be a good battle to keep an eye on, isn't it? The Legin, Lauren Keir one on that far side.
Yeah, absolutely. You can already see there a physical presence, but some real football intelligence there in terms of getting body in front and making sure that you're there or thereabouts to affect the touch and the play.
Jaloka asks Bob in to chase, but Hinson was well aware of that, and Jaloka sends it back, and that should be offside. Last season there was plenty of games between these two. In fact, they played 3 times in 11 days at the end of last season. You probably remember Maddie Belco won 1-0 in round 6, and in round 15 it was a 5-1 Belco win. And then those 3 games in 11 days was a Fed Cup final, which Belconnen United won 2-1, and then the rearranged league game Belco won 3-1. And then a cracking qualifying final tie, which Belco again won 5-2. So no joy for the Academy in any of those games, but they pushed them all the way last year, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. There were some really classic matches involved there that really went right down the wire, and you always felt like you were in it. Having been involved in the Academy last year, you thought that you definitely had that chance to get in, and some of these players were there, so they know what it's like, and they know how to how to push Belconnen to the limits, and they should take confidence from that.
Especially the Federation Cup final, when the Academy led 1-0, right until the death before half-time, when Maddie Whittle equalised in stoppage time at the end of the first half, and a Caitlin Munoz penalty, which still to this day I thought was a bit of a dodgy decision.
Yeah, I was on a train in South Korea watching it, streaming it through YouTube, and a little bit glad that it seemed to be that the South Koreans around me did not know the words that I said in response to that goal.
There wasn't many people on the field at the time that actually thought it might have been a penalty. I don't think even the players called for it at the time. Harsh way to lose a final, but another lesson for those young players to learn. Football can be a mean old game at times. Here's Kia looking to put Carnegie through the middle.
Certainly can, and football can be a mean game, but it's also about the response too, and that's what we're looking at now. I mean, 1-0 down, and you can get the feeling that the Academy's just starting to work their way back into the game a little bit, and the press isn't quite as effective as it was from Belconnen.
Here's Kia bursting forward. Good tracking from McGovern again, who stands strong. Looks for Barach. A little bit of space for Barach, and a chance to bring some players into it down this near side. Sasha Groves switched wings with Mitchell. Ball into midfield, and there was Zabel sliding in. Jaloka picks it up.
It's well read by Zabel there. Would have been really easy to sit off and hold the line, but she's taken the gamble and won the ball, and it's paid dividends there.
Keir, who the last few weeks has pushed forward into wider roles a lot more often, like Bronte Pike does on this near side. And she's going to get the ball off of Whittle there, and a chance to run at Annie Grove in the penalty area. Bronte Pike, and Grove just goes back with her, has a little nibble, gives away the free kick.
Yeah, you'd be a little bit disappointed there if you're Annie Grove. I mean, she was smart. She let Whittle go to handle the run from Pike in the overlap, and had the opportunity to clear it, but didn't quite clear the lines, and then to give away the foul there where you can potentially hold them up, it creates almost a short corner aspect for Belconnen.
Yeah, it's like a hockey situation, isn't it? Chance for them to see what they do here. Munoz is drifting in completely unmarked on the top of the box. Satchel Grove saw it. Chance for Fauna to lift that in, and there was a real opportunity from Rashart, and somehow she's not turned it in from the edge of the 6-yard box, head in hands. Great opportunity for the centre-back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she knows she should have done better than that there, and it was a great ball in there from, I think it was Fauna, and couldn't have put it in a better spot, really. Disappointing.
Yeah, didn't get it on target at all. And here's a chance for Molly Lawless to burst forward. Again, though, the blue shirts are back in numbers.
Yeah, back in numbers. You can see maybe that's where Taylor Young's experience in a 9 is lacking a little bit, as she dragged herself over and brought defenders, which took away room for Lawless to play.
Mitchell finds Taylor Young. Goes for the return. It's going to run on the synthetic field at Hawker here, though. And all the way out for a goal kick. As I mentioned last week, Belconnen United beat the Panthers by 4-0. Catherine Brown, Leah Carnegie, Kira Bobbin and Nicole Jaloka with the strikes. The Riverside broke their streak of 3 12-0 wins in a row. I think they'd be disappointed with only winning 4-0.
Yeah, that's there'd be an odd feeling coming off at 4-0 and realising that maybe potentially you've underachieved for the day based on the previous 3 weeks beforehand.
It's a remarkable statistic, isn't it? 3 12-0 wins in succession. Here's a great pace forward and a chance for Bobbin if she can get this in play. Just runs away from it. It is a speedy surface here, but I don't think you've seen that at many levels anywhere in the world that I can think of. Not even State Legal Masters, 3 12-0 wins in a row. Very unusual.
Yeah, no, you might get one here or there, but to get 3 straight is quite unique, and it just goes back to what we've mentioned before in terms of everybody's a goal threat and how Belconnen seem to be able to fill. That's awkward.
It is awkward, and a chance for Munoz to close it down. And in the end, Hinson, I think, does the right thing.
Yeah, it's good composure there from the young goalkeeper. It's come back to her at probably the most awkward angle possible, and she's calmly taken a touch and gone, all right, let's reset and go.
Munoz back to Fauna. Pike's an option behind. Here she is. Sasha Grove looking to get the tackle in. Academy have won 4 games this season, and when they win well. They've beaten Canberra Olympic 9-0, Wagga City Wanderers 4-0, Monera Panthers 4-0, and Tuggeranong United 6-0. So when they get on a roll, they're difficult to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to give them a sniff and they start to run away, and you can see the competitiveness that they've given, and those teams in and around the top 4 are where they've had those tighter battles, and they've always been in the contest, always, and unlucky not to win probably 5 or 6 as opposed to the 4 that they already have.
Yeah, lost 2-1 to Woden Western in the first game of the season. Were heavily beaten by Belconnen in the Federation Cup, as we said, but a 2-2 draw with Canberra FC and a 2-1 loss to Gungahlin, nothing to be sniffed at.
No, absolutely not. And I was at that CUA CFC game, just happily in the stands, and some thrilling end-to-end action there with posts hit late and crossbars, and that really could have gone any way. But they came from a goal down to the academy there to really put CFC under pressure. So again, shows that they can compete, and it's a matter of building from that and getting the W's there.
Closing in on the half-hour mark live on Bar TV Sports Women's National Premier League in Canberra. It's still only Belconnen 1, Canberra United Academy 0. The 6th-minute goal from Maddie Whittle. Since then, the Academy have defended very well, and they've held out. Ali Hinson's made a couple of decent saves. This corner's cut back to Fauna on the edge of the box. Set up horribly for her for a moment. And a free kick is given, foul by Jaloka. It's going to be gloomy on that far side.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the academy try and set up and play out from here. They've not been the best so far in this first half an hour of getting separation from the dead ball. So they go back to Hinson, and we'll see how they go from here.
Confidently done by the goalkeeper. And the academy looking to flood numbers forward. Barach is robbed though in midfield by Munoz. Well one back by Truin. Then ran into trouble. Here's Whittle. Munoz looks to force it over the top to Bobbin, and a chance if she can get goal side of Annie Grove, who does exceptionally well, the young defender there. Looked like she was off balance for a moment and then recovered to make the tackle.
Yeah, I thought maybe she'd potentially overcommitted at first and gone straight past the ball, but she's recovered well to take it off Bobbin, and you certainly don't want to be giving Bobbin too many chances to attack and go forward. But Caitlin Munoz won that ball beautifully, invited him to play it, and then pinched it.
Lawless with the touch. Grove. Back to Nikias, that's well done. Create the space, an opportunity for Truin to play it forward. Picks the eye of the needle there to find McGovern, who sends Sasha Grove on her way. Monty Pike though has the legs, and Sally James is out to collect.
Tell you what there, Russ, that's a nice little ball, and it's potentially overhit, but Sally James has had to come out of the box there, and you'd think if you're a forward and you haven't had an opportunity to really put any pressure on the goalkeeper, that is the moment. She's got to get it back into her box, or she's got to get away and play. So I think you'd be talking about really squeezing that goalkeeper there.
Yeah, had it too easy there, really. Here's Keir. Going to put some pressure on at the other end. Bobbin looks to squeeze the ball towards Whittle, and it's a chance for Munoz perhaps on that left foot. Thought about the shot. Isabella Barach pretty much comes up to Munoz's waist there, doesn't she? Yeah. Not giving her an inch though, and she's forced a mistake out of the Matildas international. Well done from Isabella Barach. She's been around for a while now, hasn't she, the youngster?
Yeah, she has. She, somebody who's technically very, very good and is really starting to develop her gameplay as well, which is always the next evolution for these young players. And been in and around the first grade area for this is probably her 3rd year now.
She missed summer last year through injury, didn't she?
Yeah, she had a 10-month layoff. At the basically
it's not summer last year; it's a long love last year, isn't it? Yeah.
So a lot of last year and into this year. I mean, she basically after July she missed the rest of the season, and has worked very hard to get back, and it's pleasing to see her there.
Yeah, holding her own in the middle, one more than doing so. And she looks like the creative fulcrum if they can get her the ball. Chance to maybe put Taylor Young here, who's on the ball here, through some gaps. Very strong on the ball, Taylor Young. Off she goes. Just squeeze it out wide towards Mitchell.
Yeah, no mean feat there to hold off Rashout and be able to keep the ball and turn and go. So that's very, very well done there. And potentially, if she starts to come off the line, you need one of those midfield 3 or the wider strikers to start coming in and filling that middle. Because as she got up and won that ball, there was nowhere really for her to go.
Zabel forced back to James. Rashout wants it short. Sasha Grove is interested. Back to James again, though. Good ball out that to Keir.
Great ball. It's a 2v1 with the striker having dropped off, and Academy maybe dodged a bit of a bullet there. Yeah,
Jaloka thought that Leah Carnegie was going to make the run forward and didn't. Helped it on its way to an empty field, and you tend to think, you'd maybe look a bit silly there.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Thanks very much.
Yeah, and you know, if I'm Sally James, the goalkeeper, I'm not happy with that either. I've just played the pinpoint ball, the perfect ball, and we've turned it over under no pressure down the other end, and maybe it comes back.
Unusual aberration from Nicole Jalocka. She's usually very good with her passing. Here's Lawless. Happy to go back to Hinson. Coming up to 10 minutes to go to half-time. Still only 1-0, and Academy growing into this a little bit, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting to make a little more inroads here and there, and starting to find some pockets to play in and ask some different questions.
Battle between Barrach and Fauna, which Barrach wins, and just gives it away in between both Grove and Lawless, and Lawless is there to tidy up again. Awkward one for Hinson. Fauna's touch, and Lawless once more. Absolute bundle of energy, isn't she? Molly Lawless all over the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody who's always in a contest.
Well, here's Taylor Young stretching her legs. Mitchell outside. Everything seems to be running away from Charlie Mitchell today, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does a little bit there, and a bit unfortunate. Potentially just a Erden getting a little bit narrow a little bit early as Taylor Young won the ball. If she could set herself a little bit wider, that potentially gives her the opportunity or more time to create that angle to receive that.
Rashart off of James. We'll look to bring it forward. A fair bit of space for Pike if she can put her into it. But again, maybe on a grass field that would have held up.
Yeah, but you can just see that that's the third or fourth time that they've successfully got that overlap, and Annie Grove on a couple of occasions there has been able to identify that the wide attacker is dragging her in to allow the overlap, but if she's not switched onto it, that's what's going to happen, and I don't think Rashart's going to overhit too many more of those balls.
Annie Grove has stayed forward for this on this near side, marshalled by Kira Bobbin. Barrach in midfield. Back to Hinton again. There's a few of those tonight. Munoz knocks it back to Rashart. She might be forced to go home here. And is.
And everybody's got to come with it here. You can see Rashart. So Taylor Young's done well there to block off the easy ball out to Rashart and allows everybody to load up and create the turnover. So well done there.
Yeah, force the turnover. Here's Barrach. Bit of space here. Opportunity for Taylor Young inside. The gap narrowed very quickly. Lawless picks up the ball for Legends. McGovern. Just for a second. It opened up. Nikias. Bobbin is there. Should come from McGovern once more. Won well by Jalocka. And here's Carnegie, and this is what the Blue Devils like to do. Sharp and pacey on the break. But Steffi Legends is back there again, as she has been all match, and this is some impressive defending again from the young fullback. Not only to win the ball, but to calmly play it infield as well.
Yeah, she's been solid in those 1v1 areas and not really given anybody an inch who's bombed on there, and more often than not want to battle, and that'll give the central defenders inside her a lot of confidence as well, meaning that they won't have to overcommit and cover too much.
Mitchell forces it forward to Taylor Young, who spun Zabel for a moment, wants the free kick and is going to get it. A little shirt tug, I think, when she peeled away from Zabel.
Yeah, I think I'd be tugging Taylor Young's shirt as well if she spun away from me, because
not going to catch her once she's gone.
No, that's for sure.
Easy decision for Shane Nielsen. Has now many decisions to make tonight. As we approach the last 8 minutes of the half, live on Bar TV Sports. First v fourth in Women's National Premier League, and that one's a little bit of a waste. I haven't had too many opportunities in those sort of areas, because so Heather Garrett will no doubt be a little disappointed that they've not made the most of that one.
No, yeah. Again, it's another opportunity from a set piece, and it's almost a free attempt to create a goal scoring opportunity, and they've not made the most of that 2 or 3 times now, and an area of improvement heading into that second half.
Latest from the Riverside, Benario Panthers 0, Woden Western 1. So the visitors in front there, and the visitors in front here. It's a beautiful turn that from Barrach to get away from Munoz. Back to have another bite at it, and a third time as well. That's Jalocka, Munoz and Fauna she's seen off in that small spell.
Yeah, not someone that goes away quietly, and a nice little battle from the school friends there in Fauna and Barrach. And I'm sure they've had that battle on the playground more than once as well.
It's good to see the young players coming through, and no quarter asked out there. A physical game with no one going over the top, though, so far. So here's Barrett again. Looking for Lawless. Nikki is under pressure, and that's good pressure too from Whittle, and that's well done from Annie Grove to use her pace to get back and help out defensively. Looks to take on Bobbin. A bit fortunate there, perhaps, in the end. McGovern, very calm.
Yes.
Truen.
Fairly calm, but possibly a ball that McGovern could have played slightly earlier there. She's got it at feet, and we're under pressure, and we've got the centre back there open and free, and just inviting more and more pressure, and it gives Belconnen an opportunity to set their lines a little bit higher.
Kudos to you, Matt. That's 39 minutes before you said we. You've done well there.
Didn't even notice.
Former Canberra Academy coach, of course, and part of the NYC?
The
NTC, sorry. NTC
yeah.
U17, so
yeah.
keeping a close eye on what's going on out there today. It's a good effort, though, 6 minutes before half-time.
And that's probably a good thing to say in relation to the NTC. I mean, you've got Anthony de Greenwich sitting on the bench, who's the NTC head coach, so a brilliant opportunity for these girls to...
Well, that's a bit short, sorry, Matt, just to cut you off there for a second.
Yeah.
Yancy Jagarinch, yeah.
Yeah, great opportunity for them to impress him and show what they can do against the best that Canberra has to offer in terms of the Women's Premier League, and really put a big step forward into his thoughts going into that National Championships in July.
Well, certainly there's no one in a green shirt out there that's been overawed by the opposition. And you mentioned at the top of the broadcast that you wanted, well, Heather Garrick wanted the players to be less in awe of what they saw. They thought they were a little bit, well, not starstruck, but you know what I mean, ahead of the quarter-final of the Federation Cup. A little bit too much respect given to the opposition, and certainly not happened today. They need to be on their toes for this free kick, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see it in the little battles, you know, and Caitlin Munoz's battles are probably the best example where players haven't been overawed. They're willing to commit and willing to hold her off and do the football things, not play the personality, play the game, really.
Well, let's see what Munoz can do from this free kick. She's lining one up, lifts it goalwards, and Hinson says thank you very much. Got her angles right, got her wall right, and good piece of goalkeeping. Wasn't much pace in it from Munoz, but keeper needed to be there. Here's Jaloka. Just to play it around the corner, but it's run away from them again.
Good pressure again there by Grove. Just made it uncomfortable enough for Jaloka that she hasn't got the easy outlet ball.
Barach just tried to return it, but left it a little short. Jaloka picked it up. Munoz forward towards Whittle. Truen was in the way. Here's McGovern. Keir stepped forward, and Mitchell perhaps showing a little bit of inexperience there. Here's Munoz to Keir into the area. Chance here for Whittle, and she's seen off by a very good piece of defending from Truen. Barach tries to get rid of it, and Canberra Academy can't quite get this ball out of that final third at the moment. They have now. Excellently done, and the ball forward towards Taylor Young. Rashard's back there, and she's knocked it past her keeper. This is an absolute disaster, and it's an equalising goal. The first that Belconnen have conceded all year. I think Taylor Young may have got a touch just before it crossed the line, and out of nothing, the Academy have equalised.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 seconds earlier, they're struggling to break out of their own 18-yard box, and Barrach has found McGovern in the middle of the field there. And we spoke earlier about Taylor Young and her ability to get in behind, and she has absolutely put pressure on Rashard and James and caused that confusion. And we mentioned put pressure on the keeper previously earlier in that first half, and that's created the confusion and taken full advantage there. And credit to Taylor Young not just allowing the own goal and getting another one to add to her tally.
As a centre forward myself, I can definitely appreciate that. She's seen the opportunity to add one to the tally and just run in and poked it over the line, and fair play. It's an equalising goal that pretty much out of nothing, but you can see McGovern, the pass she tried to make, which is very similar to the one she just put Mitchell in on here. And for the first goal to be conceded this season in that manner for Anthony Jagarinch will be devastating.
Yeah, he won't. No doubt he won't be happy with that, and probably won't be a focus of half-time, but he'll certainly have a word to Rashard and James and tell them to work that sort of communication aspect out. But that builds, and you said it earlier, Russ, the Academy were building into the game, and now they're well and truly on level pegging. And how far do they go from here?
Can they see it out till half-time? 3 minutes to go. Munoz with the flick on. You could hear the cheers from Gungahlin and Canberra FC when that one went in.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Nick Brosnich will be pretty happy. He'll be hoping that Canberra Academy can do them a favour, and so will Diego Iglesias, who's Gungahlin United have been very impressive so far this season.
Yeah, absolutely. They've really built well into the season. I think they've had the one stumble against Belconnen, but they've been very influential and very controlling in all of their games.
Yeah, they did them against Monera a couple of weeks ago, and they look very, very good. Lots of good quality players in that squad. Test for them tomorrow, of course, at Deakin Stadium. Test for Belconnen here, 1-1 against the Academy. McGovern, who'll claim an indirect assist, I guess.
And as a midfielder, absolutely.
Well, why not?
I planned it all.
Nikias plays it forward. Lawless has been very impressive this half. Must be a nightmare to play against. She's all over the place.
Yeah,
Trying to pick her up as a midfielder must be very difficult.
yeah, absolutely. You really need the group as a whole to try and pick her up and take care of her. I mean, if somebody turned around and said, "You've got a man mark Molly Lawless today," you probably need two, because you know by 60 minutes in you possibly run out of legs because she won't stop. And she's certainly starting to have an influence with and without the ball.
Tires me out up here watching her running around, mate, let alone chasing her. Good turn that from Bobbin, gets away from Annie Grove. Chance to stretch the legs, only Whittle in the middle. That's where she went, but Annie Grove was there. Leah Carnegie's there too. And in the end it's forced clear by McGovern, who was back defending.
Yeah, good recovery there from Annie Grove. Would have been easy after being rolled to just sort of jog back, but she made a huge effort and had an impact in the ability to clear that, help the team clear the ball, and well won again.
If there's one thing we do know, it's not conceding that goal won't faze Belconnen. Any stretch of the imagination. Here's Legion's looking for Taylor Young. Now she helped it on to Mitchell. It's a chance right on the stroke of half-time for Charlie Mitchell, racing through towards goal, but she's left the ball behind. And Rashart makes up for the error for the equaliser by getting back to cut in and tackle. But just for a moment, it looked like Mitchell was in.
Yeah, absolutely. There's more positive signs in the threat of Taylor Young now having put the pressure on is drawing more midfielders in centrally and starting to leave young Mitchell there out on her own, and that'd be scarier for the Belconnen coaching staff than the actual goal, I think.
McGovern away from Jalocka, and they are getting the better of this midfield battle now, those in green. McGovern and Lawless and Barach. You mentioned it at the start, how you were interested to see how they would go against the more experienced Belconnen trio in midfield. Well, you've had your answer, Matt. They're certainly a part of this game and coming more and more into it as an attacking force.
Yeah, absolutely. They've really stood up today. I thought they were a bit off against Gungahlin United last week, but they're certainly starting to stamp their authority.
Well, both Fauna and Pike on the wrong wavelength there. I think they left it for each other, and Shane Nielsen brings the half to a close with honours very much even, Matt, and it's something that perhaps we wouldn't have thought after about half an hour with Belconnen 1-0 up and pressing and looking the more likely.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, within 6 minutes Belconnen are 1-0 up, and you know, you look at their history of 12-0 wins this season and you start to wonder, well, how big could it get? But the Academy have built their way back into the game and go in on level pegging, and I think the question for them now will be going to that second half. Can they maintain it for a second 45? They're in the game, it's there to be taken. And for Belconnen, how do you respond? It's not often you've been in a game this year at 1-1 at half-time. What do you do in the second half to change things around and get back on top?
Probably not often they've been in the game in the last 3 or 4 years at 1-1 at half-time, Matt. Well, it is 1-1 at the break. Heather Garriock said she wanted to give her side a test against the best team in the league. Well, they are standing up to that test. They were 1-0 down to Maddie Whittle's goal, but a calamitous error from Jessie Rashard, who knocked the ball past Sally James, her own goalkeeper. Hayley Taylor-Young accepting the gift on the goal line means that at half-time at Hawker, it's Canberra United Academy 1, Belconnen United 1. Welcome back to Hawker Football Centre. Second half of the Women's National Premier League. Canberra United Academy 1, Belconnen United 1. That goal that Belconnen conceded, the first in the league that they've shipped this season. Hayley Taylor-Young claiming it on the goal line. And Matt Moore, who's with me, Russ Gibbs, for this commentary in the second half. Matt, it's an intriguing second half now, isn't it? Because if you would have thought if Belconnen had gone in one ahead, business as usual. But at 1-1, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, absolutely. It changes the approach, and it probably changes the talk from both coaches there in a half-time. And the messages, I imagine, from Heather Garrock at half-time would have been continue to do what you did in that last 20 minutes. You've worked your way back into the game. You've created the mistakes and goal, and you've created opportunities. And for the Belconnen coaching staff and Ant, the questions would have been, well, why did we allow them to come back in and play? Dropping off the press, getting away from the aspect where we saw the front three narrow off and overload on the open side, and that'll be a key aspect to going through there. And I think the first 15-20 minutes here will tell us a lot in terms of which way the game might go. No changes to either side. Academy lineup: Hinson in goal, Annie Grove, Nikias, Truin and Lejeune at the back, McGovern, Lawless, Balach midfield, Mitchell, Taylor-Young, Sasha Grove up front, Belconnen United, James in goal, Kia Rashart, Zabel and Pike, Munoz, Jaloka, Fauna, Carnegie, Whittle, Bobbin. And it's the Academy on the front foot to start the second half, with Mitchell looking to get away from Kia. He does well, and there's Fauna, but Mitchell's back. Balach. McGovern. It's Lawless. Looking for the runner outside, who's Annie Grove. Ball's dirty on this pitch, isn't it? It's difficult to see. Yeah, the rubber compound underneath certainly adds a shade or two to the ball. Behalf of the goalkeepers coming out of the gloom. Yes. Maybe it's just my old eyes, mate. We'll blame the balls, mate. Pike sends it forwards. It's always a mistake when I played. It was always the balls' fault, mate. Looking at the two benches, as I mentioned, Belconnen United, Michaela Day, Steph Heddich, Isla Robertson, Jada Murphy and Maria Pachi. On the Academy bench, Jenny Hill, Meg Roden and Isabel Mull-Hall. And I understand you got some information at half-time. Yeah, I got a text message at half-time from Bali, letting us know that they were managing Izzy Mulhall's shin splint. So from Bali, yes. So thank you to Michelle Mulhall, Izzy's mother, for providing us with that information, and I hope she's enjoying the telecast there and with a pina colada or two. Stop it. And probably slightly more clement temperature than we've got. Yeah, I'm sure they're not in the single digits. Might be watching it in a pool just to wind us up. Yeah. Hope they're enjoying it anyway. Hope they get to see Izzy come on in the second half. Barrett on the turn in midfield. Looking for Legins, but good battle and good win back from Whittle. And there's McGovern doing what she does. Truin finds Nikias. Gives it away to Munoz, but it's going to come back again to Truin. Legin, who was very, very good in that first half in a defensive capacity. Yeah, I wasn't afraid to get forward either. No. So somebody who started off as a winger and converted into that wing-back role, and she certainly won more than her fair share of one-on-one battles there. And it's not often, I know Maddie Whittle got the goal early on, but she's been relatively quiet since then. And she has, hasn't she? It seems strange to say for somebody who's got 15 goals this season already. Free kick. Shane Nielsen in the middle today, with assistants Tom Wodzinski on the near side, Alexandra McKay on the far side. Sorry, I was going to say Canberra United Academy, just got to be careful not to overplay their hand here. They're back in the game, and what got them back in the game and in a little bit of control was that ball movement. And what you wouldn't want to see is them start to overplay their hand. Well, here's a chance for Whittle to stretch the legs, and she's got goal side of Legins. Maddie Whittle advancing into the penalty. A real chance is for Belconnen. Whittle, will she shoot? She doesn't. She squares it on a plate. It must be 2-1, and it is. Simple in the end. Jaloka couldn't miss. Put on a plate from Whittle. I thought she would pull the trigger herself in the end. Very unselfish, but Belconnen in front within 4 minutes. Yeah, Maddie Whittle sharing the love there with an easy tap in for Jaloka, and another set piece that's gone wrong there for the Academy, and just mentioned not trying to overplay their hand, and they were probably lucky with the foul when they could have moved the ball on, and they've turned that over, and Whittle skipped away, and you could argue that Nikias probably should have closed the ball down a little bit more as opposed to allowing Whittle to just charge in a goal, and the recovery runs from the Academy to cover people like Jaloka just weren't there, and not much Hinson can do in that situation, really. Well, anyone that supports Canberra United, Academy, or Heather Garrick, if she's watching this, you could feel free to email Matt Moore, who said Maddie Whittle had been incredibly quiet.
And within 10 seconds, she's away setting up a goal for Nicole Jalocka. Maybe she heard you. We are right on top of the action here, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So
the first time we saw her get away from Steffi Legins, the first time this evening, and made it pay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to what we were saying at the end of the first half, that the first 45 minutes was good, but it had to be sustained. It had to be a second 45 effort. And they've got to now, realistically, do exactly what they did in the first half, at 1-0 down, or 2-1 down, but a goal down very, very early on, and build back into the game.
Done it once, can they do it again? Barach looking to find Grove on the overlap. Shot comes in, and something for Sally James to do in terms of a save, and a decent one at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well played by Barach there. She's picked up the ball and really sucked the defender in and given Sasha Grove all the time in the world to pick her spot, and Sally James with a good save. And the important thing there was she kept that ball. If she'd palmed that away or spilled it, you never know what's going to happen in the middle with a little tap in potentially through there, but saved the danger and cleared the lines well for Whittle.
Here is Whittle looking for the 1-2 off of Carnegie, but it's going to bounce off her knee through to Hinson. Good response out there from the academy to go immediately onto the front foot. Barach putting Sasha Grove into space.
Yeah, absolutely. That certainly wasn't a here we go again factor. And, football is absolutely about responses.
And here they do go again. An opportunity for Taylor Young running into the penalty area to get the shot away as well. And once more, James is called into action. And once more, she holds on well.
Yeah, response. Yeah, I was saying this. It's about how you respond to things, positive and negative, and the academy is certainly showing that they're not going away anywhere anytime soon. And 2 creations and 2 saves by James, and now it's a matter of the academy backing themselves and getting a few more numbers in the box as well, I think, there to create a bit of uncertainty. If you get a second runner in there, potentially that changes Taylor Young's decision. As opposed to a shot, she's got a cut back, and maybe they've got the easy tap in.
Well, Sally James, who was fairly quiet in the first half, has had 2 saves to make within 60 seconds of each other at the start of the second. Belconnen, though, have the lead. Nicole Jalocka with her 10th of the season.
Well done by Jay Truen there. Didn't get the friendliest of balls from Nikias, and under pressure from Whittle, she's held firm and able to play that out.
McGovern looks for Taylor Young, who was not going to give this one up lightly, was she?
No.
Most forwards would have just let that go. It was always running away, but determined to make an impact, Taylor Young, to add to her goal in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor Young there, and that's a bit of her mentality. Believes that she can win any and every ball that comes her way, and creates a little bit of doubt there for people like Lauren Kerr, because they don't get the time on the ball, and then potentially you don't have to expend as much energy putting pressure on, because there's that perceived pressure that she's already coming, and that might lead to mistakes that you can take advantage of.
When Western 3-0 up, I believe, on Monero Panthers at the Riverside Stadium, so it looks like it's going to be 3 points for them, and they'll move on to 15, which, as we stand, will put them into the top 4. In fact, it will put them 3rd ahead of Canberra FC's game with Gungahlin tomorrow. Real dogfight for those positions for the top 4 this year, with at least 5, possibly 6 teams in with a shout.
Yeah, that's what you'd like to see from your competition. You don't want things done and dusted early. You want it going right down the wire.
And competitive underneath that as well, with the rest of the league more than capable of taking points off each other and making life difficult for those sides battling for the top 4.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes it's the points you drop against, no disrespect, but your lower half teams that can shape your season.
Here's James. Short to Zabel. To slide it up the line, and the run was made by Leah Carnegie. Tried to turn and send it towards Whittle. Keir sends it in that direction. Nice taken turn from Whittle, and a lovely ball too, looking for Bobbin in behind, and Annie Grove is back there defending well.
Yeah, well done by Annie Grove there, and a little bit of concern there with the academy press, where they committed players' number, and that was fine, and they were set, but they were beaten by a straight ball that actually took away 2 of their lines and allowed that opportunity to potentially get Bobbin in behind. So they'll need to look at how they close that channel down going early, and lucky for them, the pass a little bit off, and Annie Grove is always on the spot to take care of business.
Earlier today, Men's Premier League, Canberra Olympic 8, Riverina Rhinos 1, but Belconnen United 4, Monero Panthers 0, Woden Western FC 2, Tuggeranong United 0. In the Women's Reserves, Canberra United Academy 2, Belconnen United 2. And here it is in first grade, 2-1 to the Blue Devils, who have a free kick in a very dangerous position on the far side. 2-player wall set by Hinson. Chance for this to be swung into the danger area, and it's right towards the goalkeeper who's missed it, and it's come towards the far post. Rashot was there, couldn't get any connection. Keeps it alive to Jaloka. Back once again to Rashot, and she's got goal side of McGovern. There's Leginzo in the way once more and calmly playing the ball out. Only Lauren Keir there, though, who fires it back goalwards, and it almost broke for Maddie Whittle. Nice defending again from Leginzo, not just to get back and defend well, but to also very calmly move the ball away and try and get it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Took up a really good position there and took away that front post option, and then looked to clear those lines, but in a way that wasn't just a kick and hope, but trying to find that target, and just adds another element to her game today.
Just over your picture, I can see Jenny Hill warming up quite vigorously, almost ready to join us. Another forward. Be interesting to see what the change is there, Matt.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where they look to change them, whether it's a Charlie Mitchell, who's in her first debut and probably not used to the pace of this game, and we know Jenny Hill's got bags of pace to burn and can beat people 1v1 in a wide area.
Barrett in midfield. Nice trickery, but lost out in the end. Munoz goes back to Pike. Steps away from Grove. Both wide players have been slightly peripheral, haven't they, at the moment? And I think Izzy Mulhall might also be able to join, looking like a substitute, and she's in fact going to be the first one, I think.
Yeah, so
put another pina colada on.
That's right.
Over in Bali.
Shins are ready to go. Cheers. And no doubt she'll be looking to have a really big impact there, and she's somebody who'll be a constant threat in a wider area, or potentially does she shift into a central area and release Taylor Young in a wider area? Maybe.
Can't help, Matt, and don't like to disparage the service too much, but I can't help with shin issues playing on this AstroTurf every week. It's a very unforgiving service.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not great.
Yeah, it does make it hard, and means things like that, things like shin splints are that little bit harder to manage, along with soft tissue injuries, and you know they're training here 2 or 3 times a week.
The cracking tackle from Jaloka, looking to find Bobbin on the run. She's got Whittle outside her. Here is Whittle, only Carnegie in the middle. Grove back shadowing once more. Here is Carnegie. Back to Fauna. She might try her luck from here, Alexia Fauna, but that's always off targets. Going back to your point about the injuries while this substitution is made.
Yeah, so the surface itself is very unforgiving. I mean, you get a quality surface that allows it to roll, and you don't have to worry about bobbles and bumps and divots and things like that. But you do have to manage, bodies, whether they be old or young and growing like this, as they start to go through growth spurts and stretch, and make sure that the rehab and the management is that more significantly done. And as Mia McGovern comes off and Mulhall looks to slip into the middle of the park, it looks like. So interesting
decision there from Heather Garriott.
Yeah, Mulhall finished the game last week in that central midfield role, and probably had an opportunity to tie it. Well, not probably, definitely had an opportunity to tie it late on.
Here's Whittle picking out the goal kick. We're going to swing it in towards the near post. It might come for Bobbin on the far. Good defending from Grove again, rather, and Munoz's strike is not one that she will remember.
Not on her favourite side there, but Grove again getting in the way, and they've scrambled well, the academy. We've got to give them credit there. They have been broken down, but for the most part they've been able to scramble, but a little more consistent play, and we can start to see the Belconnen coaching staff asking for a couple of different things here from Belconnen.
Legin was looking to force the issue, and she's won a free kick.
Yeah, the problems that the academy are facing now with the playing out from the back is that Belconnen have gone 1v1 all around the park. So now how do you get separation to get enough time to control that ball, potentially face forward and play out? So 1v1 battles everywhere, because if you win it, you're automatically in an overload.
Well, Keir with the free kick, plenty of blue shirts to aim at. This will be in and around the penalty spot. In fact, it's a bit flatter, and the keeper's missed it completely, and somehow, fortunately for the academy, it wasn't on target. Otherwise, it would have just trickled in. It was one of those horrible ones where Hinson's seen Jaloka come in front of her thinking she might get a touch, and no one has.
Yeah, so Hinson there came, Jaloka came, and it's just gone through the both of them, and probably caught the player at the back post. I think it was Pike by surprise. Probably never thought it was going to get there, and missed an open chance on goal. But here we go again with that 1v1 play out, and can they break it down?
It's good to see them trying to play it, but it's playing into Belconnen's hands slightly.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see here that Bronte Pike's just happy to allow the academy player in Grove to face backwards. She's no threat going forwards, and what that potentially means is as players come in, the space gets squeezed and squeezed more, and young players feel pressure, and maybe that forces them into a mistake.
There's Mulhall's first touch. Looks like Barat just dropped into a deeper role. And Mulhall playing a bit further forward, as you probably expect. Good win that from Pike. Fauna's in space. Keir wants it on the overlap, but Lejeune has seen her coming. Tries to stand up, the fullback, and good battle again. Steffi Lejeune comes out on top again. It's only found Fauna, though. Lifts that one in, dangerous ball. Hinson, though, watched it all the way.
Yeah, absolutely well done by Legends there in the 1v1 battle, and allowed an easy cross in and something to develop. I'd maybe like to see potentially the academy there as Hinson takes that ball. They've got a 2v1 on the outside and release early and go and put Belconnen under huge pressure and try and use this young lady to get in behind.
Pace of Taylor Young, not giving that one up. Mitchell won it. Yeah, Legends has been brilliant at fullback today.
Yeah, it really has. And as Charlie Mitchell comes off, and a really good first start for her, she should be pleased with her day, and she certainly had an effect where she could in a higher paced environment, and a really significant taste of first team football, and no doubt on the back of that there'll be far more to come.
And it'll get easier for her as well. It's a heck of a debut to have, isn't it? Against Belconnen United.
Yeah, that's right. You first start and you go up against the best, but that shows for a player how much belief the coach has in you as well.
Plenty of faith and confidence from Heather Garriott, and why not? She's repaid it in spades once more, as they all have today. Hinson's come a long way to get this, and in the end just sends it into touch.
Safety first, but acting almost as a sweeper there, which is good. Takes a bit of pressure off the central defence, and with the speed in behind of Belconnen, you don't want to give them that much space to run into.
Whittle, nice turn. Legends is there once more. Helped on by Mulhall. Lawless tries to slide it into the channel, but Bobbin was back defending well, which he's done numerous times today. Here's Jaloka, whose goal separates the sides quarter of an hour into the second half. 2-1 to the Blue Devils.
Just the execution of that last pass there from Whittle. So we've seen it a few times where they're trying to get the far winger in between the wide defender and the central defender and get that 45-degree angle ball in behind. And if they can do that, it eliminates almost both defenders. But the execution of it, not quite there.
Mulhall in midfield, battling away with Munoz, with Rashart rather, who was back there helping out. Stepped forward from a centre-back role. Keir sends that up the line.
Good pressure there from young Jenny Hill, coming up against a W League experienced player there and winning the team to throw.
Well, Barach was fortunate then that Lejeun's throw found her. Battling away with Fauna there. You mentioned them having this battle many times before, and Barach has come out on top there. Mulhall, in fact, the flag's gone up.
Yeah,
must have been out for a throw, but
it's
been one of those things that we watched all evening, Matt, and it's been great to watch, isn't it? The Isabella Barach, Alexia Fauna battle.
Yeah, absolutely there, and Fauna getting the last laugh with the throw. I thought it must have been a free kick. I was sure the ball didn't go out, but yeah, the last laugh there for Fauna getting away. But yeah, good battle, bit of shirt pulling, bit of fun, a little nutmeg in there as well, and
it didn't look like it went out, did it?
And but that competitive nature is something that'll drive both of them and make the competition, not just themselves, better as well.
Great turn from Whittle, gets it back from Leah Carnegie. Comes off of Mulhall, who's back Truin rather, who's back defending. It's Jaloka looking for Whittle. Fires it across, and it was a good bit of defending from Annie Grove if she meant that. Just took the sting off the ball to knock it back to her keeper.
Yeah, we'll give her the credit there, and well positioned, brilliantly well positioned, which meant she cut out that far post. And
calmest person on the park in that situation.
Yeah, that's right. A good touch by Nikias there as well.
Brilliantly plucked out of the sky. More prosaic pass back to her keeper on this occasion from Annie Grove. Probably less of a one to give the coach palpitations either. Here's Barrett. Looks for Nikias. Still not out of this, the academy.
No, it's almost starting to follow a similar trend to that first half as they start to really build and get a little bit more control here. And maybe the question I was asking was the wrong one. Can the academy sustain it for 45, or can Belconnen?
Munoz gets away from Hill. Lawless just stops the pass forward. And there she is again, Lawless still battling away. The Gins and Whittle, and a free kick once again.
Yeah, but you know what? If I'm Legends, I'll take that. You know, she's committed to the tackle. Sure, she's given away the foul, but she's given away really high up the park there, and you can almost claim that as a minor win and a bit of a sensible way to go about it too.
Keir with a free kick. Lofts it into a dangerous area. And she's probably going to get herself a corner here, and she will. Chance for Rashart to join the attack again, of course.
Yeah, we see Rashart come forward, Pike again. Munoz dangerously lurking at the top of the box too, and probably the last couple of corners in the first half we saw Fauna lurking probably 10 metres outside that 18-yard box for anything that pops out.
20 minutes gone in the second half. I think he swings it in there, and it came to Munoz, who didn't look like she wanted that for a moment.
Yeah, I think her and Rashart are a bit mixed up there. It's mine, it's yours,
way.
I'll get out of the way for you, and it's all a little bit too late.
Nothing happened untoward for the Academy. He was still, as I said, in this football match. 2-1 down, but giving as good as they're getting at the moment. Just need to test James a little bit more like they did around the 50-minute mark. A couple of shots there. This one is one for Taylor Young to chase, and she's got the pace to get in, and that's a very important toe by Jazz, able to send it out towards the corner flag. And Young takes Taylor Young takes a tumble into the net. I think she's stuck in the net there as well.
She's probably lucky there's a net there. I'm not sure how far she would have gone.
The vibrancy of youth to chase lost causes, Matt.
Those were the days, Ross. Those were the days.
The Gins with the throw. Lawless.
I mean, the great thing about that, though, is that they don't get an easy goal kick.
Absolutely.
Kerr's forced to play. And
chance on the turn. Good effort too. And it forced a save from Sally James. And she still looks lively. Does the Canberra United Academy goal scorer Hayley Taylor Young. No ill effects from impression of Spider-Man on the nets there.
Yeah, so, yeah, no, well, and that's what that leads to. You don't give the easy goal kicks, and now they're forced to play out from a throw, which makes it that much harder and create an opportunity on goal. Well done by Sally James there, because that's a spin and a hit, and that's really hard to do. And probably a tactical change here from the Belconnen coaching staff as Zabel comes off and Day comes on. And
Not a bad substitution to have, is it?
No, making her first grade return from injury, and obviously we're not privy to the decision making, but you think that's definitely something to try and settle the game down and get a little bit more of that composure and distribution right that we know, and leadership that we know Day can bring to this Belconnen side.
Yeah, as I mentioned, not a bad replacement to bring on when you want someone to settle things down. Doesn't mind a tackle or two, does Michaela Day either, does she?
Nah, she's good at making those big tackles, and not bad at earning a cheeky free kick here or there too. That she's as dangerous as anybody at taking as well.
Yeah, she's a bit of a dead ball expert in and around the air. And Jazz Zabel can be very pleased with what she did today, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. To curtail her and Rashard there, to curtail Taylor Young and make sure that she hasn't had the influence that she's had throughout the season so far. They can be pleased with the day's efforts.
Halfway through the second half, is there a way back once again for the Academy, or will Belconnen United be looking at an 8th win in succession? His first involvement for Day, a bit rusty as you'd imagine. Good to take on Hill, the two substitutes, and a throw-in, in fact, for the Blue Devils.
Yep, so won the throw-in there, and, not one of Day's finer touches, but, managed to create something there and still keep the pressure on.
Hill forces it away. Lawless helps it up towards the halfway line, where Taylor Young tries to spin and turn and take on the defence on her own. Jaloka.
Yeah, well done by Kerr there, just to almost block the run. Very clever, because you don't want to give Taylor Young the space.
Whittle chasing. Trua needs to deal with this, and she does very, very well. Lawless, though, turned into trouble. It's going to break for Taylor Young. Rashard all over, and Taylor Young's there and looks to send it towards Grove. Her striking partner sent a bit wide, but space here for Mulhall if she pulls it back on the edge of the area. Izzy Mulhall squares it off for Taylor Young, who strikes one goalwards, and James is forced into yet another save.
Yeah, well played there by the Academy. And possibly thought at first that Taylor Young had overhit that to Grove, but they've about to create it. And again, the first time shot, and James, as she has been all year, ready to go when called upon, and straight down the other end.
Kira Bobbin bursting into the penalty area. Is this the opportunity to finish it? It's a fantastic stop by Ali Hinson, diving to push it away for the corner. It looked like Bobbin for all money was going to make it 3-1. Great save.
Yeah, I would have had money on Bobbin there, and great great ball there by Sally James, and then the flick on to be able to get bobbing in behind. But credit to Hinson there. She held her ground, made a step, and paused again, and able to get the big paw out and push it away. So well done there from the young goalkeeper. But starting to get some end-to-end action here.
Organising her defence as Leah Carnegie looks to swing this one in to the danger area. And it's a header goalwards, and there is the third. Met by Bronte Pike inside the 6-yard box, towering above the defence. Nods home her 5th of the season. It's 3-1 Blue Devils.
Yeah, simplest of finishes there for Pike in terms of a headed finish and head and shoulders above, and maybe needed a little more pressure there, the academy, on that defensive corner. And Belconnen have been threatening all day from those set pieces, and they've finally pulled one off there, and a bigger challenge now for academy. Again, what's the response, the 3rd time round?
Bullet header from Bronte Pike. No one's stopping it from that range.
No, Hinson, no chance.
Makes you cross though if you're the goalkeeper, doesn't it? You make a save and then a player strides in unmarked 6 yards out to nod one in. No real defensive effort to stop her.
Yeah, the uncontested nature of it will be the most disappointing thing, as you mentioned, Russ. You make the save, you're willing to, and you get fairly beaten, then you'll cop that. But no pressure makes for no fun.
Still difficult header to finish to keep control of. Met it as soon as it left the forehead. It was always going in there, wasn't it?
Yeah, she's been a constant threat for the last couple of years there for Belconnen. And
mentioned it last year. She doesn't mind a goal. That's 5 this season from left back, and got close to double figures last year, if I remember rightly. Hat-trick in one game as well. Ball in towards Carnegie, whose corner it was that found her. Legends. There's Michaela Day. Couldn't get it back. So 3-1 at the moment. Belconnen United look like they are going to 22 points from 8 matches. That'll give them a 4-point cushion over Gungahlin before their match against Canberra FC tomorrow. Canberra FC on 14 points, of course, having had 3 deducted earlier in the year, which is a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame, and probably something that if you're Belconnen, you want to continue to push through with this undefeated run and leave a big enough gap that nobody starts asking questions. Well, what if those points hadn't been taken away? And if you get to the end of the season and those points don't have a factor, then no one can point to anything untoward.
Which leads us nicely as a segue into the fact that tomorrow I'll be at Nigel Oval watching Cooma Tigers play Gungahlin United in the men's NPL live on Bar TV Sports. Gungahlin, of course, having 6 points deducted at the start of the season there. They've recovered really well since then. And they face the league leaders tomorrow in what should be an absolute belter at Nigel.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it at home, and it'll be a good game. And Marcel Munoz, obviously firmly entrenched in the history of Cooma, going back there as he has a few times in his coaching career, and no doubt having a plan against his old mentor. It'll be a fascinating contest.
Not expecting it to end 0-0.
No.
Plenty of goals between both those sides. Hinson sends that forward. Legends touch in midfield. It's going to fall for Jaloka. Carnegie's ball. Whittle. Here's Jaloka. Belconnen looking to put this one to bed if they can. Good ball across the 6-yard box. Important fist on it from Hinson. Needed to get something on that, or as a tap-in for Bobbin on the far post. Keeper did well. Yeah,
Hinson did very, very well there, and credit to Grove, who was on the spot, and Jaloka getting involved there again, who's done a lot of work tonight for potentially not a lot of reward. She's actually opened up a lot of channels for others, and probably potentially could have got more ball, but passes haven't always been on target for her.
Molly Lawless's ball forward.
Yeah, you'd almost like to see Lawless spin out the other way there in the middle of the park. You've got the fresh legs of Mulhall streaking through the middle, and then you've potentially got Jenny Hill one-on-one with Pike on the outer side. And
for a moment there, whether Taylor Young was shaking out a tweak to the left calf. Yeah, hopefully that's nothing untoward.
No, hopefully not for the academy, and she's certainly been their key weapon today, and she had to go off. That would result in a big change of style and a big change of attack.
Grove to Lawless. Gets past Day. Runs incredibly hard, doesn't she? Heather Garrett wanted the free kick. Thought that Mickey Day had a bite Lawless as she'd gone past. Here is Day. Space for Leah Carnegie, and Jalocka off to the races and away from Jade Trewin. Just a bit of too much pace for Trewin at the moment. And here's a real opportunity for Whittle, who's unmarked in the area. Cuts inside and just took too long to get the shot away. Great piece of defending there from Barach.
Yeah, well done from the central midfielder there. They'll track back in, and the academy defence there getting pulled all out of a line with centre-backs high and coming extraordinarily narrow and leaving players out wide and starting to get a little bit wobbly there.
With their credit, they've still left 3 up front, haven't they? And they're still going for this.
Yeah.
Garriock won't see them lying down, and they feel they can still get something from this, even though there's only a quarter of an hour to go and they're 3-1 down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you think of what Garriock's mentality has been her whole playing career and her coaching career, is that winning mentality, and that you don't quit and you don't give up. And that's why people like Taylor Young are really at the forefront of Garriock's mind, and she's probably tossing up at the moment. Does she give her a contract heading into the summer?
We'll miss Heather Garriock for a month. She's off to Sydney to take up punditry duties for the FIFA Women's World Cup for Optus Sports, one of a number of experts that they've got lined up for, 23 nights of football live from France. The Matildas, of course, involved in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it myself, and I'm assuming Optus Sports are just hit delay on the email for you and I, Russ, and we'll be up there soon.
Yeah, we haven't quite got the call up yet.
No, an exciting tournament, and one where certainly the Matildas have got a real red-hot chance to go in there and shake up the world, which is what you want.
It's a very open one from what I've seen. And the USA will fancy their chances. England have been playing very well as well. They'll fancy their chances. England always fancy their chances at World Cups, don't they?
It's always coming home, isn't it, Russ?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one to watch that is possibly flying under the radar a little bit will be Spain. They're one of the teams that I'm really looking forward to, and the leaps and bounds that women's football in Spain has made in the last 3 years has been phenomenal.
They had a game there a few weeks ago, didn't they? Was it Atletico Barcelona with 60,000 or something?
Yeah, absolutely. And
phenomenal amount of people.
Yeah, and a young Australian girl, and Chidiak, they're involved as well, which is fantastic for her and just fantastic for our game in general. It really is.
It's great to see in the W League here, of course, back over the summer. It's lucky to commentate on a couple of games this year for Canberra United with Grace Gill, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do so again. And maybe some of these players out in this park will be involved. Here's Pike, whose goal made it 3-1. She's into the penalty area and has won another corner, and no doubt she will wander into the 6-yard box once more. No doubt she'll just be reminding Carnegie as she heads over to take the corner. Just remember the last one. Here I am. Drop it in here. That's right, yep. And I'm sure Ali Hinson saying the same to her defence. Yeah, that's exactly right. A little bit tighter marking there, but just starting to stand off a little bit in general play, the academy there, and allowing players like Pike to start to dance through. Well, Rashart, Pike and Munoz, the obvious targets, all making a run towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Kanigi flicks it to the near post. It bounces across the 6-yard box again. Nobody can get a touch. Picked up by Whittle, pulled back to Jalocka. It's going to come to Carnegie. She might try her luck from here and wraps her foot round it, and that's a decent save from Ali Hinson. Skipped off the surface just in front of her. A great first-time strike from Leah Carnegie. Yeah, great confidence there from Carnegie to hit that first time, and as you mentioned, not an easy save for Hinson. Down low, and we mentioned before, James holding onto the ball and Hinson doing the same there. Clean hands makes for clean sheets, and that is fantastic signs there for Hinson that her confidence doesn't appear to have dropped too much, and nor should it. She's made some fantastic saves today and certainly can hold her head up high. Coming up to the final 13 minutes of the game, and Belconnen still lead 3-1. 2 in the second half. Nicole Jalocka with the tap-in. Header from Bronte Pike. Academy still battling, and that's a good tackle. Well, I thought there was a bit of ball in that. Maybe I was wrong. Telly Young on Mickey Day, and I think Telly Young may have rolled her ankle when she made that challenge. Yeah, she's got a history of ankle problems, Taylor Young, and something that'll be a small concern for the academy there. But it looked a little awkward, didn't it, when she did stretch her foot in front to make the tackle. Let's hope it's not rolled fully. She's that fearless approach that she has can come at her cost at times, and you know she certainly
came a day out of nowhere. And
yeah, she's definitely struggling a little bit in front of us here. And I think, like I say, I think it was that left ankle took a bit of a twist when she made the challenge. Can't see a replay here, unfortunately, but the only option, of course, is Meg Roden.
Yeah, I mean, if you did have to make the change, you know, Roden being a midfielder, potentially you push Mulhall up and Roden in if you do need to make that change. But knowing Taylor Young, she won't want to come off. But sometimes, you know, it's better off to make the call early. And
yeah, she's out of your picture at the moment, but she is struggling on halfway. Not the sort of player she said that's going to put her hand up, is she?
No.
But she is in a bit of pain. Meanwhile, corner to the Blue Devils. Once again, another good delivery to the front post from Carnegie, and it's been hooked away. And they want a corner, Blue Devils, but the goal kick is the award.
Yeah, a bit flatter there, the delivery, and given the height advantage, the success that the Blue Devils have had with the ball in the air, you wonder whether that's the right approach. I mean, I know you're 3-1 up, but the ruthlessness of them indicates that they will want more in the last 10 minutes or so. And, you know, knowing the Belconnen coaching staff, they won't settle for small mistakes. They'll be demanding excellence.
Not a great week for Monero Panthers, beaten 3-2 by the Canberra Olympic on Thursday at the Riverside at the moment. It is Monero Panthers 0, Woden Western 5. So Woden Western on their way to 3 points. Wasn't expecting that result.
No, certainly not 5. I thought that would be a tighter contest and something that would that Monero certainly was well and truly in with a chance. And
here's Taylor Young chasing. Looks like she's shaken off that little knock to the ankle. Isn't it amazing with a forward? Something goes towards a goal, all of a sudden, whatever pain there is just dissipates.
That's right. That's right. Any chance for a goal, and it's a magical healing button somewhere there. And yeah, brilliant. So yeah, no, good result likely there for Woden Western, and a good win, and looks like a jump into the top 4 as well.
Yeah, as I said, this result will put them 3rd tonight, just above Canberra FC. A 5-0 victory over Monero. These Monero stranded on 3 points, one of 3 teams on 3 points. At the foot of the table, Wagga City Wanderers and Canberra Olympic the others.
Makes for a cracking game when the Academy and Woden Western come up in a few weeks' time.
Incidentally, the Olympic play Wanderers tomorrow, so one of those, or possibly both, will go off with 3 points. It's probably fair to say that Monero Panthers aren't a 5-0 team worse off than Woden Western usually, are they? And they've been looking quite good in some of the games we saw. Already lost 4-0 to Belconnen last week. Defended very well.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a letdown for them, given the form that they've started to produce and the players that they're getting back. They would have expected more, and that'll be deflating.
A difficult year for them, isn't it? They expected to get their Solomon Island internationals across the line at some stage, and it just hasn't happened for them.
Yeah, no, for whatever reasons, those moves have stalled, and that's unfortunate because having spoken to Ian Worthington before the season and the plans that they had in place, and you think that the players that they were bringing in would have added some excellent value.
Good ball that from Pike, looking for Whittle. Legends is back to help out defensively again, as she is. She has been most of the day.
Yeah, well done by Legends, and that's one of those interesting things that you go out and you recruit overseas players. If they can't find a way to get here, it potentially leaves you a little short.
Day into the penalty area. Balach away to Lawless. Chance for Mulhall. Turns in midfield, looking for the ball forwards. Hill is the option. Groves made the move ahead. Mulhall came back inside, probably called for it, but Fauna was the one in the way.
Yeah, the sort of no-look pass there, and it was a great build-up from there, and Jenny Hill, credit to her. She didn't panic early on, but potentially maybe test the possibly tired legs of Pike there with the fresh, speedy ones that you've got yourself.
Munoz finds Whittle. Legends was there. Jaloka. Rasharts. Might be able to hear Antti Jagarinic on commentary just saying, just move the ball around. He wants his team to play a little bit quicker, I think. But they're not being allowed to, because every time they try and get a passing move together, there's a green shirt snapping at the heels.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see now they're moving that ball. The block from the academy here is set really well. So the question here is, there's a
Mickey Day won't want to be playing that one back.
No, she might fast forward that bit, I think.
Handball against Lauren Keir. Free kick to the academy, and a chance perhaps for them with 7 minutes to go to get something into the penalty area. If they're going to get something out of this game, they'll need to score soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, no Mia McGovern as the target there anymore. So Molly Lawless might be the checkpoint, and potentially a Mulhall at the back post.
Is Barach chips it into a danger area. Rashart got the header. Bobbin's back there. She's done a fair bit of defensive work today, Kira Bobbin.
Yeah, their all-round game's been very good, willing to sacrifice her attacking play for the good of the team.
Here's Barach dancing through 2 challenges. Still going, Barach. Thought about the shot. Still going, Barach. What a run this is. Great save for James. Denying, and Sasha Grove can't turn it in. But what a run from Isabella Barach. Almost picked her way through the entire defence.
Yeah, fantastic pick up there by Barach, and she's weaved through and danced around Kerr and sent her the wrong way and been able to pull off an excellent shot. And that's the X factor that she brings. And again, full credit to Sally James, who, again, when required, has stepped up to the mark and made an excellent save. And Sasha Grove at the far post, it would be disappointing that she couldn't get over the top of the ball there, but fantastic lead-up play from Barach, and that's that dynamic X factor that you mentioned earlier in that first half, Russ, that she brings to the game.
Matt, she's made, Sally James, according to my notes here, she made about 4 or 5 decent saves in this second half, mostly from Taylor Young, but saves that, you know, they've required her to make, and it just goes to show she's been busier tonight than she has been for most of the season. This young academy side have certainly given a real fright to Belconnen. As Bobbin tries to get in behind here, Groves back there defending, and you know, James, there's been some questions when you talked about her. We've talked about her in the season about what she's going to bring to the team, because she's had not a lot to do, but she's shown what the quality she has when required.
Yeah, absolutely. She's showing that the 1 or 2 saves that she might have to make a week are not by chance, and if she is required and required consistently, she can absolutely possibly be a game changer and a season winner for Belconnen. Her distribution has been brilliant, and she's been able to hold the ball regularly. It's fantastic. Formerly
of the academy as well, I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And only been a goalkeeper for, I think, 3.5 years now. Before that, she was a number 9. So, you know, the progress of this young lady is absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, people like Tim Davies who've been involved with her and her development deserve a lot of the credit.
Free kick to the Blue Devils, chipped into the air. Barach knocks it clear, might come for Fauna. Didn't fancy the shot. Jaloka. Wouldn't mind seeing Fauna lining one up from there. She's got the ability to strike those.
Yeah, absolutely. She can put them in those top bins if she wants to from anywhere.
Is Barach. Off she goes again, looking for Taylor Young, but Lauren Keir's there, and Taylor Young won't give this up. Still battling away and having a shout at the midfielder for not putting it in the channel for her.
That's right, yeah. That
tireless runner.
Yeah, I don't know how she does it. And she continues to push boundaries and make things uncomfortable, and well dealt with by Kerr. No panic, as there may have been a couple of times previously.
Type of centre forward the teams love, puts pressure on the opposition, endless work rate, and comes up with more than her fair share of goals, as Mulhall lofts that one into the penalty area and James comes to collect.
Again, on the money there from James. I mean, Carnegie's probably a little disappointed she can get something on it, but be able to take that ball and turn a team around with delivery by that from foot from a goalkeeper is absolutely brilliant.
True into this near side. Gets it back again. Day was there ahead of Taylor Young. Nikias brings it down. Lovely touch, Demi Nikias, to kill the ball stone dead.
Yeah, absolutely. Not for the first time tonight either.
No, she's done it several times, hasn't she? And it's great to see, because it brings the team straight away. It brings it down, starts to play the pass forward and bring the midfield into play.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got control from the day dot.
And Lawless sent to Caitlin Munoz, absolutely flying there with a toe punt clearance straight into the bread basket. We shouldn't laugh, because it's a cold night, and that probably stung.
Oh, I think it would have definitely stung, and we talked about how they might, curtail Munoz, and maybe that's a new technique going forward.
That's a strike in 10-pin bowling, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Centre flying. And not a hint of remorse from young Molly Lawless.
And that'll be good. That's good. You stand up to your heroes, and you make sure that you're here, and if I take you down, that's your problem, not mine. And no doubt Caitlin Munoz would have been the same.
Absolutely. I think secretly she quite enjoyed it, to be honest. Telly Young with the throw. Keir nodded it down. We're into the final couple of minutes of what's been an entertaining match. Telly Young still going. Munoz fully recovered. Back to Lauren Keir. Clips it back to Munoz. Gets it on the chest in a fashion she'd rather have it.
Nice ball.
Whittle. Munoz. Dinks it out. There's Nicky has sent him forward, and that's come off of Fauna's head. Falling like 9 pins. Rashart. Back to Keir. 30 seconds left, plus a little bit of stoppage time. And Matt, it's been a decent performance from the academy. Belconnen look like they're going to come away with the points, of course, again. But something that Heather Garrick would have been happy about if you think of the positives that come from this.
Yeah, that's right. You think of the last meeting that they had in that Federation Cup quarter-final, and it's been certainly hasn't been one-way traffic tonight. And no doubt they'll be disappointed with the losses. They should be. Nobody likes to lose, but they can take a lot of heart from this, and there's a lot of things to build off and some quality performances. And again, like they did last year, they're showing that they can match it with the best, and that can only be positive going forward for them. And no doubt will make Heather Garrick as happy as you can be with a loss as she goes for a little bit of break into the World Cup duties.
Yeah, she goes for the break. The team don't. The team, of course, travel to play Woden Western next week. Woden Western 5-0 up against Monero Panthers. They met here in the first round of the season. Woden Western won 2-1 in what was a bit of a surprise result at the time, you would have thought. And so there'll be a hint of revenge, perhaps, for Canberra Academy next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Great turn by Jay Truen there. She's walked over and just absolutely ghosted past Carnegie. But yeah, no, that'll be with Woden Western winning today. That's a key battle for both clubs in the fight for that top 4 going forward.
Belconnen United, Canberra FC next week. The team that pushed them all the way in the Cup semi-final. Pushed them all the way in a 0-0 league result earlier in the season as well at McKellar.
And hopefully next week's more of the same from them.
Offsides against Jaloka. I think say they have a point to prove, but having lost their 3 points, they're getting closer and closer to beating Belconnen, aren't they? Even though they drew in the first game and they lost 3-2 in the semi-final, but they were probably closer to winning the 3-2 game than they were the 0-0, if that's not an oxymoron.
Yeah, absolutely. They started to have the run over the top of the back end of that extra time.
As a full-time whistle goes, Heather Garrick was about to give Meg Roden a couple of seconds at the end of the game. Couldn't get her on, but final whistle's gone. And Matt, it's been a good evening's football from both teams, and a lot that both sides can take away. None more so than the fact that Belconnen United have been given a real contest. Yeah,
absolutely, and that's good for the league and a huge buzz for the academy, and something that Belconnen will take note of. I mean, 4-0 last week against Monaro, where they probably would have expected to get a few more and push to the limit here today. But as good teams do, they find a way to win. But that gives another warning shot for them and some work there to do before the big clash next week. Yeah, no doubt we will hear from you hopefully next week as well, Matt, when we've picked out which game they're going to send us to. I've got a feeling I might know which one it might be. Thanks for your company again, as usual. It's been great to have your expert analysis here as well. Congratulations on only saying we once. That was pretty good for 90 minutes as well. It's been a great evening's entertainment at Hawker Football Centre. The Canberra United Academy, the youngsters, have pushed the league champions and the league leaders the whole way. A goal from Maddie Whittle after 6 minutes gave Belconnen the lead, but an equaliser from Hayley Telly Young just before half-time brought the academy back level. An early goal in the second half from Nicole Jaloka had the Blue Devils in command, and Bronte Pike's 5th of the season headed in from a corner secured the points. It's been a good evening for Belconnen United. They move clear at the top of the table again. It's finished Canberra United Academy 1, Belconnen United 3.